we're trying to do as well is find out or work with BINA to generate fundraising opportunities for them so that they can actually find other methodologies to generate funds to help pay. We want to work cooperatively. We don't want to cause problems. So, if they want to do a fundraiser on site, we're prepared to do that type of thing as well. In terms of access for others, in terms of payment location, we are going to be using the existing payment facilities at the swimming pool, and we'll have staff occasionally come up and check out the track for fee collection as well. So we're not creating a new venue per se in terms of a fee collection location. I'll be out and about. Other staff members who are on shift will be out and about collecting as well. Yeah, the $8 fee is actually the most expensive methodology for use of the track, and that is on a daily basis. We will also be offering 10-session passes and also a monthly opportunity if a person prefers that. In each of those variations, the 10-session or the month, basically reduces the cost of usage, and the person can come on a monthly pass. If they want to come 30 times in a month, they're certainly available to do that. And that really brings the cost down. So basically a person can take their cost from about $8 per use down to as low as 40 cents a use, as an example.
This is nothing new. There's always been fees associated with using the National Sports Center. I think that across the board for the whole stadium, they do have programs in place for elite athletes who are training for international events to have fee waivers building up to the international event. Certainly that doesn't mean 365 days a year, but building up to international events, that's certainly something that is available. So again, I would sort of point out that this is actually nothing new.
If they can't afford the fee, because there are other more important things to a single parent, or especially one who's not working regular, who's working part-time, send a child there. Now they're going to start saying, okay, well, I can't afford to pay for you to go up national, so you can't do that activity. And perhaps he could have been the next Usain Bolt or Key Wiles in track. Who knows? I think that it should be a separate approach. For the sporting bodies that may pay a fee, that's one thing. But for the public that uses it, a lot of those people that use that facility are those that may not be able to afford to pay for a regular gym or whatever. So they use the National Sports Center as their means of exercise. It's a safe environment. And what do we mean when we say nominal fee? A lot of our people right now, as we know, are not working. So what may be nominal to one person is actually could tend to be a lot of money to another.
I'm not pleased with it at all, because as you know, I've ran pretty much all of my life, and I've never had to pay for the use of a track. And when I think about it, Earl, when I was first running, we had a grass track. The only reason we have an all-weather tartan track is because Clive Long complained that when we athletes went overseas, we were at a disadvantage because we weren't training on a track. That's how the track came to be at the stadium, and now there are acts and our athletes who are training for international competition to represent Bermuda to pay for the use of the track. My question is always, how much is it to maintain a track? You don't have electricity. When we turn the lights on, we have to pay for the lights. So what exactly are we paying for to use a track? And I know, if it has to be clean, that's usually not any time that's done is if we're having an international event at the stadium, or if the lines are redone, is when we're having an international competition, which we don't have that many international competitions in Bermuda. So I'm definitely not pleased. And you've got some children that come to the sport because they don't have money to participate in any other sport, so they come to track because as we've all known, running is free. You could go on the roads and run. You could go up to the stadium and run. So we have a lot of children in our program that are there because they don't have to pay any sorts of fee to run. Yes, they may pay a little fee to their club to assist them. And for most of the clubs, most of the fundraising that they do is towards them being able to go to one track meet overseas, so they could get some competition outside of Bermuda. The money that the BNAA raise, because we don't get much sponsorship, we basically use that money to send our children overseas to compete in international events, which there are several international events that go on, on a monthly basis. We're sending teams away, especially when we get into the summer. And this year it's just as heavy as any other year. So, now we've got to try to put aside money to pay for using the stadium. The interesting thing is I've spoken to several of the Caribbean countries. Not one of them that I've spoken to charges their athletes for using the track. So I don't know where this came about, and it's funny that since we've had the pool, all of a sudden now they want to charge us for using the track. So I'm not pleased with it. I'm not even going to say that I'm going to go along with it as yet. From my standpoint, it's not finished. And the unfortunate thing is that we have nowhere else to go. But maybe we can find some other options and have our athletes somewhere else. Or I have a few things that I'm thinking about, and I'm going to speak to NACAC president. I'm going to see him next week in Canada, and I'm going to sit down, because when I mentioned it to him, he came back to me and said that is absolutely ridiculous that they're going to charge their athletes to train on the track. So, as I said, I've talked to various people. I've talked to the Bahamas, I've talked to Barbados, I've talked to various countries, and the Caribbean, who is kind of our equal, and none of them are being charged to use their track, especially the athletes who are training to represent this country. So that's my feelings, that's my view on it. And as I said, I wouldn't say that we're going to just lay down and go along with it, and we'll see where it goes from here.
I thought we were due to have another meeting, but unless they had the meeting, and I'm just learning now through the grapevine, or learning now through the news, that it's in fact become a reality. You know what I mean? But having been in track and field all my life and benefited and never been charged, and felt to myself, well, I would certainly do good and put the island on the map, to the point where probably they could never pay me back for what I intended to do in terms of giving Bermuda recognition. And but to be charged for it as a child, that should be given something in the way of pursuing their sport,